You deserve to see this. Inside were documents, photographs, and an old contract bearing her father's signature beside another name, Rafael Varela. Acacia's stomach turned. My father worked for him? He laundered money through London art sales, Hajun explained. When he tried to pull out, Varela framed him with counterfeit bonds. The debt wasn't just about money, Acacia, it was leverage. Your father owed him silence. She covered her mouth, tears blurring her vision. He was trying to protect me. And Varela used you after his death to lure me out, Hajun said grimly. For a long moment, neither spoke. Outside, rain began to fall, tapping against the window like soft applause for their shared ruin. When she finally found her voice again, it was small. What happens now? Now I finish what my father started, he said. I end Varela. And me. He looked at her as though the question itself hurt. You shouldn't be here, but I can't send you away until he's gone. She stepped closer, close enough to smell the faint trace of gunpowder and rain on his skin. You keep saying you can't, she whispered. What are you afraid of, Hajun? That I'll make you part of my world, he said, voice breaking low. And that it will destroy you. Her fingers brushed his arm. A simple human gesture that made him close his eyes for a moment longer than he meant to. Maybe I get to decide that, she said softly. Later that night, she lay awake in the small guest room, listening to the rain. Through the thin walls she could hear the faint, mournful sound of a piano, that same melody he played in the mansion, slower now, almost like an apology. Acacia pressed her hand to her heart. The truth had shattered what she thought she knew, yet it bound them closer. Two people from different worlds, both caught in debts not of their making. Hers of money, his of vengeance. And as thunder rolled over the countryside, she knew that this calm wouldn't last. Somewhere in London, Rafael Varela had learned that Hajun was still alive. And he was sending someone Acacia knew to find them. The storm came harder the next morning. Thunder rolling over the hills, the wind shaking the windows like fists against glass. Inside the safe house, the silence between Acacia and Hajun had grown charged, fragile and warm all at once. She found him at dawn, seated at the kitchen table, still in the same black shirt from the night before, a gun lying beside his untouched coffee. His eyes were red-rimmed, not from tears. Hajun never cried, but from battles that never seemed to end. You didn't sleep, she said softly. He gave a tired smirk. Neither did you. I was thinking. About what? How strange it is that I feel safer here with you than I ever did back home. He looked up then, his gaze softening. You shouldn't. Safety doesn't exist around me. She smiled faintly. Then maybe it never existed anywhere. For the first time, he didn't look away. And for a few fleeting moments, the world outside, the rain, the enemies, the debts, all disappeared. By mid-morning, the storm had eased, replaced by a hesitant calm. Hajun's men patrolled the property, though their faces were tense. Acacia spent her time near the old wood stove, sketching quietly, trying to process everything she'd learned about her father and Varela. She was shading the outline of Hajun's profile when a knock echoed through the front door. She froze. Hajun looked up sharply from his seat by the window. Stay here, he ordered. Two of his guards moved to the door, guns drawn. When they opened it, a small gasp followed. Acacia? Her heart leapt. Sophie? It was her closest friend from her cafe job. Petite, curly-haired, rain-soaked, clutching a duffel bag. Oh my God! I've been looking everywhere for you, Sophie cried, rushing forward. You vanished. Your flat was torn apart, and I thought. Acacia ran to her, pulling her into a trembling embrace. I'm okay. I'm fine now. Hajun's guards exchanged glances, wary. She's my friend, Acacia said quickly. She's safe. Hajun's eyes narrowed. No one finds this place by accident. Sophie's voice quivered. A man came to the cafe, said he knew you, said you were in trouble. He gave me this address. I swear I just wanted to help. Hajun's jaw tightened. What man? I don't know. He didn't give a name. He said Acacia would need someone she trusts. His expression darkened, though his voice stayed calm. "Check her bag." "What?" Sophie exclaimed, stepping back. Acacia looked between them, confused. "Ha-Jun!" She wouldn't. But his instincts were faster than her trust. One of his men unzipped the duffel, revealing what made Acacia's blood run cold. A small transmitter blinking red, barely visible among the clothes. A tracking device. The next few seconds felt like a nightmare. Ha-Jun grabbed Sophie by the arm, spinning her toward the table. "Who sent you?" She struggled, tears spilling. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. You walked a tracker into my safe house. Don't insult me. Please," Sophie sobbed. "The man said if I didn't deliver the bag, they'd kill my brother. I thought I was helping her." Acacia stepped between them, voice shaking. "Ha-Jun, stop. She's telling the truth. She didn't know." His eyes flicked to Acacia's, blazing with conflict. Then he cursed under his breath and let Sophie go. "We need to move. Now." He turned to his men. "They've got our location. We'll have less than 10 minutes before they hit us." Acacia's heart pounded. "Ha-Jun." He grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the back exit. "No time. Pack what you can. They'll be here soon." As they fled through the woods behind the house, gunfire erupted in the distance. Smoke began to curl into the gray sky, the safe house burning behind them. Acacia ran, breathless, clutching his hand. "Where will we go?" "There's another safe point north," he said. "But it's not the house I'm worried about." "Then what?" He looked back at her, eyes dark with something unspoken. "Now they know what you mean to me." They reached an abandoned warehouse by dusk, soaked and trembling. Ha-Jun's men secured the perimeter while he and Acacia hid inside a small room upstairs. The city's glow flickered faintly through broken windows. Sophie's tearful betrayal replayed in Acacia's mind. But so did Ha-Jun's voice. Cold, protective, and almost tender. "You risked your life for me," she whispered. "I'd do it again," he said simply. "Why? You barely knew me weeks ago." He turned to her, eyes full of quiet truth. "Because somehow, you became the only thing in this world that isn't rotten." She looked at him, this man who had destroyed and protected with the same hands, and her resolve crumbled. "Then don't let them take that from us," she whispered. And this time, when he reached for her, she didn't resist. Outside, rain poured down again, hiding the sound of approaching engines. Because while they found brief safety in each other's arms, Varella's men had already found the warehouse. And the next move would change everything. The warehouse was silent, except for the soft rhythm of the rain drumming against its rusted roof. Acacia rested her head against Ha-Jun's shoulder, her body finally warm against his. For a brief, fragile moment, the world outside didn't exist, no debts, no danger, no past. But Ha-Jun's instincts never slept. His hand tightened suddenly on her waist. "Don't move," he whispered. She froze. He had heard it, the faint crunch of boots on wet gravel, the whisper of a gun's safety clicking off. Then came the first bullet. It shattered the window beside them, spraying glass across the room. "Down!" Ha-Jun growled, grabbing Acacia and pulling her to the floor just as another shot tore through the wall. Chaos exploded outside. His guards shouted, returning fire as black SUVs screeched to a halt in the rain. Varella's men had arrived. "Ha-Jun!" Acacia cried. "They found us! Stay behind me!" he barked, pulling a pistol from his belt and moving toward the door. But Acacia grabbed his wrist, eyes wide with fear. "You're outnumbered." He glanced back at her, calm despite the storm. "I've been outnumbered all my life." He burst through the door, firing with precision. Every movement controlled, ruthless, beautiful in its violence. His men fought fiercely, but there were too many. The warehouse shook with the echo of gunfire and shouts in the rain. Acacia crouched behind a stack of crates, trembling. She had never seen him like this. Not the cold strategist, not the man who'd made her heart race in silence, but the beast he truly was when cornered. A shadow moved near the door. She grabbed a metal rod and swung. It connected with a skull. The man dropped instantly. Her heart thundered in her chest, but she didn't stop. She crawled closer to the fight, searching for him. Then she saw it. Hajun spun to cover his flank. Too slow. A gunman aimed straight for his chest. Hajun! She ran forward just as the shot fired. He turned, pushing her aside, taking the bullet to his shoulder instead. The impact spun him backward, blood splattering the rain-slicked floor. No! Acacia screamed, dropping to his side. He grimaced, clutching the wound. Don't cry. It's not fatal. You're bleeding. It's nothing, he hissed, forcing himself upright even as his body trembled. I've had worse. You can't even stand. He met her eyes then, fierce, defiant. I don't fall until it's over. She refused to let him go down like that. Dragging him behind cover, she tore off her shirt sleeve and pressed it to the wound. Hold still, she demanded, voice breaking. You shouldn't. Shut up and let me save you. For once he obeyed. The sound of battle grew distant. His men were retreating. The rain grew louder, a steady rhythm masking their desperate breaths. Acacia looked into his face, pale, strained, but still burning with that impossible strength. Why did you take the bullet for me? She whispered. He exhaled, eyes fluttering half shut. Because you're the only thing left that makes me feel human. Her heart cracked wide open. She cupped his face, trembling. You can't say things like that when you're bleeding out. A faint smirk touched his lips. Then stop me. And before she could think, she kissed him, deep, desperate, the kind of kiss that tasted like both fear and survival. His hand rose weakly to her neck, pulling her closer, grounding himself in the only warmth left in his cold world. When she finally pulled back, her tears mixed with the rain. I'm not letting you die, Hajun. I'm not planning to, he murmured, voice low. But if I do, make sure Varela never touches you. Don't say that, she whispered. You promised me safety. He smiled faintly. I promised you everything. Outside, the shooting had stopped. Silence stretched through the warehouse, broken only by thunder in the distance. Acacia helped him to his feet. We need to get you to a doctor. No hospitals, he said weakly. Too many eyes. Then where? There's a clinic in Camden. Underground network. They'll patch me up. She looped his arm around her shoulders and helped him toward the exit. His weight heavy but his will unbroken. Before stepping into the rain, Hajun paused, looking back at the smoking ruin of their shelter. He's getting bold, he muttered. Varela wants to end this soon. Acacia tightened her grip around him. Then we end it first. He looked down at her, surprised, not by her bravery, but by the fire in her eyes. You're not the same girl who begged me for a deal that night, he said softly. No, she replied. You changed that. They disappeared into the rain. Two broken souls bound by blood, desire, and danger. Behind them, one of Varela's men crawled from the wreckage, clutching a radio. They're alive, he croaked into it. But Hajun's hit. Heading north. A cold voice crackled through the static. Good. Let them run. I want them to think they have time. Yes, boss. When she falls in love with him completely, Varela's voice purred. That's when I'll take everything from them both. London's rain had given way to mist, the kind that clung to the city like a ghost refusing to leave. In the dim glow of the underground clinic in Camden, Acacia sat by Hajun's bedside, her fingers tracing the lines of his bandaged arm. He had been unconscious for hours after the bullet extraction, the doctors moving quietly under the hum of flickering lights. When his eyelids finally fluttered open, she let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. You're awake, she whispered. His voice came rough, almost unrecognizable. You stayed. Of course I did. He turned his head toward her, eyes dark and vulnerable. You should have run. Every moment you spend near me puts you in the line of fire. I made my choice the night you took that bullet for me, she said. I'm not running again. Over the next few days, she nursed him back to strength, feeding him soup, changing his bandages, forcing him to rest when his pride refused to let him. In those stolen quiet moments, she began to see the boy behind the monster. The orphaned son, the scarred heart that vengeance had consumed. One night, while the rest of the safe house slept, she caught him standing shirtless before a cracked mirror, tracing the bullet scar with his fingers. His back was a tapestry of old wounds, reminders of the battles that had built the man everyone feared. "You've been fighting your whole life," she said softly behind him. He didn't turn. "It's all I've ever known." She stepped closer. "Then let me teach you something else." Their reflection met in the mirror. A broken man and a woman who had once thought love was a luxury she could never afford. When she placed her hand on his chest, his heartbeat thrummed beneath her palm like a promise. "You gave me a reason to fight that isn't built on hate," she whispered. He turned and caught her hand. "Then let me end this, Acacia, once and for all. For you." The next morning, the plan was set. Hajun had traced the signal from the tracker Sophie unknowingly carried. It led straight to Varella's private estate on the Thames, a fortress disguised as a mansion, heavily guarded but not impenetrable. He stood in the center of the safe house briefing room, suited in black, calm and commanding again. "This ends tonight," he said. "No negotiations. No mercy." Acacia stepped forward. "I'm coming with you." "No. I've already been a pawn in this game. I deserve to see how it ends." Their eyes locked. A silent battle of will, until finally he nodded. "Then stay close, and if I tell you to run, you run." That night, under a moon swallowed by clouds, Hajun's convoy approached Varella's estate. The guards never stood a chance. Silencers whispered death in the dark. Security cameras blinked and died under his hacker's control. Inside the grand hall, Varela awaited, silver hair slicked back, a glass of wine in hand, his smirk cold. "You've made quite an entrance, boy," he said, rising from his seat. "Just like your father." Hajun's voice was low, deadly. "You killed my family. You turned their blood into currency. Tonight, I collect the debt." Varela laughed. "You've become everything he hated. You're no better than me." "You're wrong," Hajun said, stepping closer. "Because I still know what love feels like." Varella's smirk faltered. A split second before Hajun fired. The shot echoed like thunder. The glass shattered in Varella's hand as he staggered backward, collapsing to the marble floor. Blood spread like spilled wine. It was over. Acacia rushed in, breathless, finding Hajun standing over the fallen man. Gun still raised, eyes burning with something more than rage. "Relief. Release." She touched his arm gently. "It's done," she whispered. "You're free." He turned to her, the weapon lowering slowly. For the first time in his life, Hajun didn't feel the need to fight. "No," he said softly. "We're free." Months later, Greenwich felt like another world. Hajun had dissolved the old network, redirecting his power into legitimate businesses: art, trade, finance. All the things his father had once dreamed of. The scars remained, but they no longer defined him. Acacia stood beside him on the balcony of their new home, the city lights reflecting in her eyes. "Do you ever think about the past?" she asked. "Only as a reminder," he said, "that I almost lost the one thing that made surviving worth it." She smiled, leaning into him. "And what's that?" He kissed her forehead gently. "You." The night wrapped around them, quiet and forgiving. Two souls who had met in desperation, bound by danger, now standing together in peace. Their love born from debt, tested by blood, and redeemed by choice. As the city slept, Hajun whispered against her ear, "No more debts, Acacia. Only forever." And for once, she believed him. Morning light streamed softly through the penthouse windows overlooking the Thames, wrapping the room in gold. The world felt different now, quieter, gentler. And Acacia woke to the sound of Hajun's steady breathing beside her. She lay there for a moment watching him sleep. The man who had once ruled London's underground with an iron hand now looked so human, so peaceful. She smiled faintly, her fingers brushing the scar on his shoulder. A reminder of the night he almost died for her. But today her secret burned gently in her chest. She'd been to the clinic that morning, trembling as the doctor smiled and said the words that changed everything. "Congratulations. You're expecting." Her hands still shook as she held the small test in her purse. She hadn't told him yet. She wanted the moment to be perfect. By evening, Hajun was already suspicious. "You've been smiling to yourself all day," he said, slipping on his watch. "What are you hiding from me, Acacia?" She laughed softly. "Not hiding, just waiting for the right time." He stepped closer, his gaze teasing and curious. "You know I don't like waiting." "Well," she said, grinning, "you'll like this surprise." That night, she found him in his study. He was leaning against the desk, reading an old letter, one his father had written before his death. He folded it carefully when he saw her. "You look nervous," he said, watching her twist her fingers. "I'm not nervous, just overwhelmed." "By what?" She took a deep breath, moved closer, and placed his hand gently on her stomach. His eyes lifted to hers, confusion giving way to realization. "Acacia!" Her voice trembled with joy. "We're having a baby." For a long, beautiful heartbeat, he just stared at her, silent, unmoving. Then he pulled her into his arms so suddenly she gasped, laughing through her tears. "Are you sure?" he whispered, his voice cracking in a way she had never heard before. "Yes, the doctor confirmed it this morning." He exhaled shakily, pressing his forehead to hers. "You've given me everything I thought I'd never have." "A family," she whispered. "Hope," he corrected. "You gave me hope." In the weeks that followed, Hajun changed in quiet, tender ways. The ruthless boss became a man obsessed with care. He refused to let her lift anything heavy, personally cooked her breakfast, and even canceled meetings to accompany her to doctor appointments. His men whispered that their leader had gone soft. But those who saw the light in his eyes when he looked at her knew Hajun hadn't weakened. He'd finally found peace. One Friday evening, he asked her to dress up. "Why?" she laughed. "We're just having dinner, aren't we?" "You'll see." They drove to a private rooftop restaurant in Greenwich, overlooking the glittering river. Candlelight flickered around them. A live violin played softly in the background, and the city stretched endlessly below. "Hajun, this is beautiful," she said, eyes wide. He smiled, that rare, warm smile only she ever saw. "Not as beautiful as you." Dinner passed like a dream. When dessert came, the waiter set down a covered silver tray. She frowned playfully. "What's this?" "Open it," he said, his voice low. Inside was a velvet box, deep red, catching the candlelight. Her heart skipped. Hajun stood, walked around to her side, and sank to one knee. The entire restaurant seemed to hold its breath. "Acacia," he began softly, "the night I met you, I thought you were just a woman desperate to escape her debts. I didn't know you would become my peace, my reason to live." Her eyes filled with tears. "I've lived in shadows all my life, but you showed me the light I never knew I needed. So today, I don't offer you a deal or a promise made from guilt. I offer you forever." He opened the box. Inside sparkled a diamond ring, delicate but breathtaking. "Will you marry me?" Acacia's breath caught. Her hands trembled as she nodded, tears spilling freely. "Yes, Hajun, I will marry you forever." He slid the ring onto her finger, stood, and kissed her, slow, deep, full of every moment they had survived together. The restaurant erupted in quiet applause as London glittered around them. Months later, beneath the spring sky, Hajun and Acacia married in an intimate ceremony overlooking the Thames, the same river that had once witnessed their chaos now reflecting their peace. She walked down the aisle in a flowing white gown, her belly showing softly beneath the lace. He couldn't take his eyes off her. When they said their vows, there were no grand speeches, only a quiet truth that needed no words. "You were my debt," he whispered against her lips, "and you became my destiny." That night, as fireworks lit the London sky, Hajun wrapped his arms around his wife and rested his hand on her stomach. "Do you think our child will know who we were?" he murmured. "Maybe," she smiled. But I hope they only know who we became. Then I'll make sure they do. And as the stars shimmered above them, the ruthless Mafia boss and the woman who had once been his escape finally had what neither thought possible. A love not owed, not bargained, but earned. A love that ended not in blood, but in peace. Thank you for watching. If you find the story interesting, please do well to leave us a comment and suggestion. Also like, share and subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification icon so that you will get notified about every new story. You can also tell us where you are watching from. We like to know more about you.